What is going on, everyone? My name is Drew Spencer with the React and Attack Football Podcast, where we try and go over NFL content from all 32 teams every single day. And boy, oh boy, there's always something going on in the NFL world. And if you like what you hear, make sure to like and subscribe. And let's go.
A lot of big names that came on today, but I want to touch up on a few things, man. How about uh how about the Giants taking on Dallas to start off in a game that was explosive that I don't think really anyone had on their radar. Yes, division games can get crazy, and yes, these two teams have kind of been sputtering in different directions, so I guess anything's possible. But to see this game and the way it unfolded, 450 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's what Russell Wilson brought to the table today. And usually when you hear that type of stat line, you're like, damn, what a nice game. I'm glad we won. Nope, not in this case. Now, Russell Wilson was dominant by showcasing his moonball ability. Guys like Malik, the freak neighbors, and Wandale Robinson, those guys just made play after play. And the offense was rolling, right? Well, let's take an extra look at this, though, a little bit. Because while the yards were there, while the explosive plays were happening, while Russell Wilson looked pretty damn good behind the scenes for this Giants team, a lot of bad defense, first and foremost, as they allowed the Dallas Cowboys to obviously beat them in this game. But not only that, Um, it's not as simple as that. A lot of it, penalties on this offense, continue to derail them. But Russell Wilson, for the most part, and for most of this game, was able to say, hey, yes, guess what? 3rd and 25, screw it. Malik's down there somewhere, and it was working. And the Cowboys defense was just shuddering to them. But once Dallas's offense started getting more in rhythm and they started coming back, and this game was more of a game and it was more on Russell's hands, um, he showed up the first time. He showed up the time that you would expect to win, because 9 out of 10 times the Giants win this game. The only problem is the Cowboys have automatic Aubrey, and he is the 10th, right? But so he hits that long bomb there. Unfortunately, the Cowboys get down the field. Well, not really, unfortunately, because the Giants kind of just let them have those free yards. And I get it, a 60-yarder, you would hope that the kicker would miss that or be stifled with. Not with automatic Aubrey, obviously. It seems, well, then Giants get the ball in overtime. All eyes on Russ. He's been killing it. And then we see the pressure, the sacks on him, the loss of the ball, unable to do it. And we saw that a couple times myriad throughout the game, but it all came in full force. And my question is, for Brian Dayball and him essentially kind of calling out Russ because Russ did have a dreadful week last week. Um, Now what are you going to do? Because it seems to me that Russell Wilson is, yes, he didn't live up to be the hero at the end of the game, even though he kind of did. But the extra drive, too many in overtime, you can't be perfect. He also had an interception again, but this is one of those those occurrences where a lot of it, I do think, is pinned on the fact that they couldn't establish an even more amount of lead because of the discipline, because of what's going on the defensive side of the football. And at the end of the day, that goes on Brian Daboll, and that's the discipline that we keep seeing. As for discipline, man, watching these late afternoon games, if you are Jonathan Gannon of Arizona Cardinals, your ass is so clenched, man. like, um, Carolina in a game that the Cardinals seemed that they had put away, as it was like 27-9 going into the fourth quarter. They almost let the Cardinals come back. And for a while when I was watching that game, I was thinking to myself, I was like, yeah, dude, Arizona, I like how their squad's coming along. They got some veterans here to make some plays like Calais Campbell, but I like how their receiving core has come along. And Carolina, to me, I was like, this team's trash. Like, they still got a long ways to go. And then all of a sudden, momentum starts heading in the way of the Panthers, and the Panthers start capitalizing. And at first, it's like a touchdown, and it's like, well, the Panthers, you feel good about it because you can at least say, well, Bryce Young walked away. Well, all of a sudden, here's another one. How about another one? And all of a sudden, it's a very close game. And it comes down to it where they basically have the Panthers dead in the right multiple times to ice this game. And instead, they let up a defensive holding call, which gives them a fresh set of downs on a fourth down. And then again, they do it on a roughing the passer, which is a little ticky tacky, sure, but they put themselves in that. Thankfully, karma, unfortunately, I guess, hits in the way of the Carolina Panthers, and Bryce Young is called for intentional grounding. The game ends there. But if I'm Jonathan Gannon, I'm clenched, right? Because it's like, dude, we almost blew this damn game at home. Everything's going well against a Carolina team that looked like the steam ran out of the engine, and no, they were able to fight back. But what's even more damning for overall with discipline is the other afternoon game with the Denver Broncos and the Indianapolis Colts. And I was tuning in here from there. Bo Nix had a good game. In retrospect, right? He was looking like he was pretty confident with the football. Improved so much from last week, right? And that Denver defense still looking good. But this Colts team was not let off the hook. And I'll touch a little bit more on Bo Nix because there was one little sideline altercation that happened between him and Sean Payton around the fourth quarter. Well, after that, they weren't able to establish any more points. So these guys were getting off to something and clashing with it. Meanwhile, the Indianapolis Colts, right, with Daniel Jones at the helm, Indiana Jones, as cliche as it is now, I wish I would have thought of that way earlier. But here it is. He has over 300 yards in this game. Jonathan Taylor destroyed them on the ground. But overall, this was a game that Denver should have had won. And Will Lutz goes out there, tries to kick a field goal with just about over 2 minutes left there in the ball game, and he misses it. And it's about a 46 to 50 yarder. It's a bit of shanker there. Gives Indianapolis life. Well, they allow Indianapolis to start driving down the field. Indianapolis gets stuffed. They have to settle for the field goal, and it's a miss. The Broncos win. Oh, hold on. Hold on. The special teams unit messed with the center of the Colts and allowed them a free extra gain of 20 yards. They were able to just go for a 45-yard field goal with zeros on the clock, kick it, and win. How about that for discipline, man? In the last game, America's game between the Eagles and the Chiefs, well, I was a bit dead wrong. I actually was pulling for the Chiefs. I thought the offense was going to come around. And here's the thing. They went up against, obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles with a very good defensive line, with a defensive line that has Jalen Carter, who didn't spit on Mahomes today. So you at least have that. Now, I want to take a look, though, more so at the Chiefs in this because this offense, while I am still not trying to sell them down the river, I got to talk about it, man, because, this Chiefs offense is struggling in a lot of ways. I mean, for no reason should Patrick Mahomes be this team's lead rusher. Where is the power from Isaiah Pacheco? Where is this happening? Like, because his first year he started well, and then he's had injuries. But literally it just seems that this Chiefs offense could have so much more of a running dynamic and threat, and it never gets to that point. Well, besides that, we saw in week one they had guys running into each other and things like that, and one of them was Travis Kelsey. Well, today, while yes, Travis Kelsey did have a respectable stat line, 4 catches for 64 yards, he had that bobbled catch, which could have been a touchdown, and instead bounced in the hands of an Eagles defender, and instead there's no points. We saw him bump into a guy last week, and also last week on a play that I think Kelsey was just a little bit behind on where he was supposed to be and didn't hustle enough, and then they missed an easy go ahead or touchdown at that point. This was last week, but talking about even today, look, with Xavier Worthy out, with Rashee Rice out, obviously you expect Travis Kelsey, the man, the veteran, to be that. Well, he's been sluggish, and now this entire team is sluggish. And for instance, man, they had an opportunity to hit Tyquan Thornton down the field, and Mahomes misses him. And this is before they start blowing all their timeouts, so that they could have potentially had a chance to stay within this game. As he, yes, eventually hit the same deep pass to Tyquan Thornton, but again later in the game, they hit that one. It's different, right? Well, Mahomes, I just think he doesn't have the chemistry, because you look around, the offensive line is doing their job in my mind. Rookie Josh Simmons is acting like a maniac, turning upfield. All the question marks we had about this offense going into the year, it seems like they've been solved for the Chiefs. But it almost seems that Mahomes doesn't have anyone he can trust, and especially right now with Kelsey playing the way that he has, where again, it's a respectable stat line, but you can't not acknowledge the bobbled pick. And the other prior things that happened last game, what is going on there? So just wanted to get my thoughts out.